Talk a little bit about what Steve Jobs meant to you and why you named the song Steve Jobs. You said you're an Apple man.
The first kind of music that defined my life as a lifestyle, musically, where I just changed everything that I was doing and I just focused on music, was hardcore, punk and hardcore. And that scene, it lives off this thing called DIY, do it yourself. So with that, with that kind of ethos, I pretty much applied that to everything in my life. So from that scene, from that from learning in that community, being proactive in that community, basically the skies were the limits. Like I could pretty much do anything that I put my mind to. Like if I wanted to write a zine, I could do that. Because all my friends would get together and we would make that zine. We would go to Kinko's and we would steal all the copies because we didn't have the money. If I wanted to start a band, I didn't know how to play guitar. I figured it out because all the friends in the community were like, "Fuck it, we don't know how to play music either, we'll learn together." And we figured it out. It was all about like non-traditional growth in music. Learning things and being able to figure them out on your own, finding the tools in front of you to get those things done. And that's why I was able to start a label with $400. Started Dim Mak with $400.
That's insane.
No business plan, no investment. I was 19.
That's insane.
And I was able to get to the point where it was with no investments up until 2007 when I did a deal with Downtown. For over 150 releases I was doing it completely independently. And I'm now back 100% independent, 2012. So everything I did, like music, learning how to produce music on the computer, learning how to play guitar, learning how to sing, I don't know how to sing, learning how to be a businessman. But like I always looked at the way I structured my business was I never wanted to walk in through the front door because everyone else is. Yeah. That lane is already full. So I always try to find a way to sneak in through the back yeah. and crash through the window. And that's how I get into the house. So I'm an album guy, and I come from the band world. And
for sure.
what defines bands or their careers are albums. It's not like a single.
Exactly.
You have to release an album that has that big single. For DJs, you don't need to release the albums. You can be a top 10 DJ like Avicii and release the biggest song in the world at levels.
Yeah.
You could be Skrillex and release an EP and be nominated for 5 Grammys.
Yeah.
So for a DJ, it's not about albums. But I'm from a different camp.
Yeah, you see the bigger picture.
I just was like, I need to do an album for my own history of artistry. I set forth on this project for years, and at the same time, I was gonna focus on this. This is my solo album release, but then I'll do fun collaborations with my friends, Afrojack, Luke, Tiesto, and I've one with Diplo coming out, one with Knife Party coming out. So I have these fun collaborations that are coming out as cool club singles. Mm-hmm. Some artists don't need to release albums. They just need singles to accelerate their career so they can tour. Yeah. Because the real business is in touring. The music itself is calling cards for the touring world. That way when people hear Turn Up the Volume or Freak or whatever songs or the remixes they made for Tiesto or mm-hmm. then they'll get excited to go see them live, Yeah. And I want to support that career for them. Yeah. We're not really in that business so much. We're really in the business of the music world. Some people are ready for albums and some people aren't, and we're not going to push them if they aren't. Yeah. If they are, then we're ready, if they're approaching with us with that idea. Yeah. So.
The jet lag issue, I'm still working on it. I'm horrible with it still. I don't know what it is. Every time I go to Europe, I'm literally sleepwalking through the day. So I still am trying to figure that out. I've even asked Tiesto, the veteran of all DJs, how he does it. And he kind of gave me a vague, ambiguous answer just sleep when you land. or something like that. I was like, okay, I'll try that. But I do take 3 melatonin when I sleep now, not just 1. I take 3. So that helps me on my flights. Because, like, for example, today I flew 14 hours and I slept like 9 hours, which is awesome. Like, you wake up, you're like, 9 fucking hours. Because usually you sleep 3 hours at the most. 3 hours that's like the perfect scaled sleep or nap or whatever you want to call it. But that's what I end up usually doing, 3 to 4. So, and that's what, the sick part, it's not just sleep that I'm like, okay, that's one thing I'm lacking. But the other really big piece of the pie that's really important is nutrition and health. So I've been reading, and I've been a sponge, and reading all these books and gathering as much information so that I can train my body to never get sick. The 2 main focuses are U.S. touring and Canada. I love Canada. U.S. and Canada. I kind of like North America. South America now is like a major focus. Actually, I'll just say the Americas, and Europe. Those are like 2 main focuses that I've been really ping-ponging back and forth. I mean, I'm doing Europe 2 weeks every month touring, and then I'm doing the Americas the other. And then like I'll do like maybe twice or 3 times a year. I'll do Asia, and then once Australia, and then South Africa, which I'm actually going to again end of the year. And my first time I'll be hitting up India, which I'm really, really excited about because I've been dying to go to India.
It's been awesome. I mean, unexpected. I think I'm kind of like one of those guys, right place at the right time. EDM's just like huge and a buzzword, and everybody wants to talk about it, even though I've been in this space for well over 10 years. I think people are ready for an album like Fire and Ice. It's a little more sophisticated, but it's like with the explosion of the genre, it's kind of one of those things, right place at the right time. Well, feels keep remixing the remix. Remix it. It's not right, remix it. What? Just get the original right. Yeah, I mean, I love down-tempo music. I have a passion for it, and I always include some of it on my album.
I feel like EDM's a weird term. We don't like to put genres on what we do because Major Lazer are like, what are we? We say reggae, but we're not really. We're playing a lot of different reggae. What's on the floor? It doesn't make sense to us. I just love that kids are into underground music right now. That's what's important, that they're learning about new music, checking out new artists, representing like that. That's what's cool, man.
I very rarely get into the studio, to be honest, because I'm always traveling. But what I do is I produce almost all my music with a laptop and headphones on trains and on the tour bus now. I go to a studio every now and then if there's tracks that I haven't really got the mix right on with headphones, and I need a proper monitors to finish it off. But wherever I lay my hat is my studio these days. So yeah.
You're one of those people who hasn't been to North America in a while, and the scene has drastically changed. Describe this tour for you and just watching all these North American fans and where they're at right now.
The last proper big tour I did was in 2007. I did a slightly smaller one in 2008. Obviously, I've been to Miami, but a lot has happened since then over here. It's just gone crazy now, hasn't it? Dance music is bigger than R&B and hip hop, and if you look at the top 20 single charts, it's full of dance music, which is crazy, and it's fun to be over here and see it firsthand. So far all the shows we've done has been amazing, and yeah, there's so many, like for tonight, for example, it's going to be great. I actually do listen to what happens, and if there is a trend or anything, I try to stay as far away as possible from it. I never really liked, following what other people do. I want to do my own thing, and you shouldn't follow trends, you should start them instead. Coming here, I can hear what all the other DJs are playing. Most of them are playing, the same tracks, to be honest, but most of that it's not really my thing. I always done my own thing, and I have a particular sound on the labels, and that's always going to be the case, I think. There's a good side and a bad side of illegal downloading of music. Obviously, it's good promotion-wise. It's amazing with the internet. You can be a kid that sits in Hungary, you know, in Budapest, and you made this track, and no one knows about you. You upload it to your MySpace, and you get some links out, and all of a sudden, maybe you're lucky and someone posts it on a blog, and you know, all of a sudden you're famous, you know. But when it comes to people who are actually making a living out of producing, like music writers, you know, if people take their music, they can't really continue doing what they're doing. I mean, obviously for me, because I DJ, you know, I will have my income from DJing, but I think these days you almost needs to see the music side of things is almost like your business card, you know. It's for promotion. It's not really to make money out of, you know.
You know, I got actually through hip hop, because I used to be like way back when I was, you know, just getting into music. I was actually more into hip hop, but then I found out that, you know, like 90% of all hip hop is actually sampled from funk music. So I got into the whole Bootsy Collins, Parliament, George Clinton thing, and you know, it kind of got me. What intrigues me is, and I think that's what I try to do in my music, is they can have such a basic groove, but you know, it's kind of like they tried out a million things and just, you know, got it down to this really elementary, simple thing. But it, you know, it just, even though it's repetitive, it's still interesting, you know. And I think that's the great thing about funk music, that it's, you know, it sounds very basic, but it's actually very, very hard to get your groove right and keep it interesting.
Well, 20 years ago, there was virtually no EDM scene as we know it now. You know, it's the dance music has become so big, and it was an underground thing, basically coming from small warehouses, very underground clubs. First in the U.S., it started in Chicago, of course, we know the story, and then in Europe, sort of developed the sound in Germany, Frankfurt, Belgium, and the Netherlands, of course. Dance music was already very big in the Netherlands in 1994. But it was in clubs. It was a club thing. You know, 1,000 people would show up at a club, and everybody used to be happy. And it wasn't until I think early 2000 that the festival thing became big, and popular radio, you know, daytime radio started picking up dance records for their A-list and B-list, which made a huge impact on youth culture. And I think dance music is no longer just a hype or a phenomenon. It's really a cultural movement, I'd like to call it right now. And to be honest, I didn't see that coming. I just loved dance music for what it was. I got into dance music just because I loved it so much. I mean, I'm a lawyer. I mean, I finished my law degree, so there was no plan to sit here 20 years later. But I just enjoyed it so much. All my friends were buying records. We had turntables. We had little competitions going on, making mixtapes for each other. And it used to be a vinyl-only world. It was absolutely unthinkable to play with anything else but vinyl until 2003, 2004, until the CD players came and USB sticks. And I think that's been a big step forward as well, because, you know, downloads and edits and mashups have become everything. And dance music is no longer just one thing. There's just so many different styles and genres now. It's unbelievable. I think the way we consume music is different than 20 years ago or 30 years ago. You know, when the Beatles were big, they sort of invented the whole concept of the album. And the way we consume music in 2014 is not even through downloads anymore. It's all about streaming. So it's all about playlists, generating playlists, making it's kind of like the old mixtapes. I still like the concept of an album, which is basically a collection of songs. It's like a photograph of your ideas behind songs, your productions at that moment. But it's basically the same as a playlist. You know, if you go on Spotify and you click on a playlist from somebody, that's basically like an album. You know, it's a collection of songs that somebody likes or that have an order. I think a good DJ or a good album still has the same concept of 1 + 1 is 3. What I mean is, if you put those two songs on that album or in that DJ set, in that order, at that particular time, something extra should be added. Because you place those tracks, you know, there's an extra order. There's it's a thing that we call flow. You know, when you listen to an album and you have all those tracks lined up, it's not just some random thing. It really takes you on a journey. So there might be a little bit more commercial track, a little bit more accessible track, followed by a little bit more underground track, followed by an instrumental track that has no beats but cools you down, and then all of a sudden there's a harder track with a massive breakdown that takes you to a higher level, and then it cools you down again. And it's like Christmas dinner, an album. I still think a track is just a track, but if you can, you use the track as an ingredient for a DJ set. It's almost like having a dinner. The meat is part of your dinner, but the meat doesn't taste as nice if you don't add like maybe some special sauce or some vegetables or a nice glass of red wine. You like the combination of everything.
And that's what it needs to be. It needs to just come back to being in a warehouse, and just feeling it out and feeling funky with it. It's like we don't get much of that like we used to. That used to be New York and Chicago and stuff like that. I don't think we've been getting that lately, but hopefully it'll come back to that. We got to get rid of the greed. You got to get rid of the greed. That's the best way to bring it back, where, DJs just come out and DJ, and not that, they got to have all this money to make it work. Everybody's made money. Like, stop it already. Let's go out and play and have a good time and, school some of the kids that, haven't had the era that we have had, and give back a little bit. We're talking about digging in the crates and stuff like that, which was always fun for me to hear a record and go and find it or find the original to it and, go out there and drive to Philly, me, Jazzy Jeff, Kenny Dope, Johnny D, and be looking through 45s and be in gritty basements, searching through records, just trying to find a 40. It was crazy, but it was the best high ever to, know that you brought that 45 and you go home and blast it or take a loop off of it or, just put it in your catalog. We was record collectors, and it was crazy. I mean, I wasn't the craziest record collector, but, I followed through with it because I knew that it was worth it, and I knew that I loved digging for new sounds and new ideas. Oh, 80s, I mean, so many, between DJ Theodore, Flash, Larry Levan. Like, I listened to so many DJs back in the 80s, that gave me the idea to DJ Baby J and Roseland. It's like DJ Raul and Broadway 96. Like, I can pull up DJs that you never heard before, but these are the guys that got us going. Because we used to go listen to them play, Dirty Talk and stuff like that, like really obscure records. And we was like, yo, what is that? And we had to find out what it was and went to Downtown Records and we asked Frankie and Harry, yo, what is this record? It goes like this. And we're singing it to them and they're looking at us like we're idiots. Like it goes doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. And he's like, oh, that's Dirty Talk, you idiots. I thought you knew that. I gave it to you last week. I was like, oh, I put it back. I didn't hear that break in it. So these are those little things that you gotta keep up on all the time.
Right, but was it like the
DJ? I think it's a time now that we have to, as an independent label and DJ, find new sound, new fresh sound, because EDM, as you said, is everywhere. Became very pop, and also the American artists use that DJ music to make their pop music. So there is a lot of competition, but our role is to discover new sound. Now the young generation is very easy with the software, with the computer, but maybe they're missing a little bit of a musical culture, musical background. So I'm giving that to them. It's very important. It's missing soul a little bit in the house music we hear at the moment, but it's gonna come back. Everything is a cycle, so it became very, very popular, and the software and the computer more and more evolutionized. So as a young guy, you have your computer and you can create you have the sound in the computer, so you don't need to search any sound outside. But then when you have the same sound in each computer, you make the same music. I'm coming from the sample and the recycle of music, so I can search a lot of sounds in the 30s, 40s, 50s, in all kind of style of music. So it makes the difference, I think. Wow. All the black music coming from, I must say, from James Brown, the beginning of the 70s, till 83, 84, you know. So all this black music from that period, we're gonna say 15 years of music was my inspiration from all countries in the world, because I discovered that you had a James Brown in every country in the world, you know. So disco sound have been everywhere, and of course a lot of American artists been influenced the planet during that time. But I think in everything, in fashion, in design, in music, these 15 years was very important, and we recycled these 15 years since that time.